Welcome to Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media. Joined by Nick. I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna try it though, Nick, because I often don't even try, but we're gonna try it. Nick Schkrioba. Schkrioba.
That's perfect. I've heard a lot worse, so I will. I'm good with it. You did a good job. We've been hanging out too much, I think.
How are you supposed to say it, Nick?
Skoroba. Skoroba.
Schkrioba. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, my main relatives, it's Schkrioba. They like to use the Ukrainian.
The Ukraine, yeah. Well, it's funny because anyone that listens to the show often enough knows I almost never attempt to say people like the last episode I recorded is with an old friend of mine, Jacques Equier. Damn it, sorry, Jacques. But I don't know why I struggle so hard with names, man, and I hate butchering them, but I guess it's my thing here. It's my shtick. Uh, so Nick, you're with a company called Peoplease, and I'll let you explain what Peoplease is and what you guys do over there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so we're a professional employer organization, but we're unique in the industry. So, majority of the PEOs or HCMs companies, they're going to be more about benefits and focusing on that piece. Where we're work comp driven. So we're a PEO for the blue and gray collar. We're not. We can write white collar, but we're not interested in taking a $10 per 100 code like an 8810. We want the more tougher codes that it costs employers a little bit more to have the electrician or a construction worker or a laborer. We want those because we can really show a great value, not only on the savings but on the services behind that.
Very nice. And now Peoplease is a regional company, right? Is it like East Coast, I think?
No,
National
we're
company?
yeah, we're national. We do operate in all 50 states, um, and from East Coast to the West Coast. And I happen to sit here right in New York with you. This is where I'm from. I actually grew up in Corinth, New York. That's where I graduated high school. Then stayed in New York, went to SUNY Potsdam, and then after college, I did some travel, lived in various areas. I've lived in Vermont, Boston, Florida, outside of Philly, and then came back here in 2018, end of 2018. Was just chasing promotions and chasing money, really, is what I was doing. But I fell into this industry um, in Florida. It was new to me, but I just saw the impact that it has on the business owners.
Yeah.
Not only have I seen them blow out their 5, 10, 15-year goals after they became clients of ours or mine, but I just seen it just make their lives easier. And seeing that and selling into all the big cities that I just named, I was like, that can work here too,
Yeah.
in this area, and that's really my main focus.
Well, you passed the first test for proving that you're local when you said Corinth. So, that's everybody knows now, right? They're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's definitely a local guy for sure.
Yeah, or two,
Uh,
tell whatever. Yeah,
so, let's talk about PEO because I still think there are a lot of business owners that don't necessarily understand PEO, what it is, what it does, why they would want that, as opposed to going a traditional route with their employees. Can you kind of give us the rundown on that?
yeah. So most PEOs, there's four really core pieces that it's going to be. It's one's going to be the workers' comp. It's going to be payroll. It's going to be compliance, and then it's going to be your support, whether that be benefits or any other type of support that you need. But it's
Hmm.
just related to employees. What makes it nice is that the back office things that need to be taken care of, like making sure that your payroll taxes are paid on time, making sure that your handbook is up to date and has the most uh, recent law changes. COVID, we saw so many different laws go into place during that time just because we were living in a different world, right? People weren't
Hmm.
going to the office, they were remote. So now these office workers now had to have some sort of telecommuter policies. So these things change and these laws change frequently, and they're not really necessarily in the news all the time. things like hairstyle, and what determines discrimination now. There's different things. It used to be just sex, age, religion, sexual orientation, right? Were the main, but there's some others that fall into that. So Peoplease allows you not to worry about that,
Mm,
and just worry about driving your business. And that's what you majority of the business owners got in the business to, is to run the business because it's something that they like to do, and they want to continue to grow. So we offload that for you, and let us handle the back end. That's tough stuff, and then it's a one call versus making 4 calls or 5 calls,
mhm.
right? Who has my workers' comp? Oh, I got to call them. We just had a claim. All right, who's my CPA? I got to make sure that they file my taxes right. One call, support team, um, just really makes life easier.
Yeah, which I know, speaking as a business owner, we all like our lives to be easier.
Yeah.
Uh, and I feel like we've been, the age that we're in business wise, that the outsourced solutions like this are becoming paramount to the success of organizations. Where years ago you used to try to in-house, or you'd have a business owner like myself with a small team. They'd be trying to do all the work and probably not doing it correctly or doing it well. I think every time I talk to you, you say something to me, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing that actually. There's a lot to worry about.
Right. In the majority of companies, even if they do hire an HR person, that HR person is more like an HR generalist. And their
Mhm.
job is to answer the employees' questions and to the satisfaction of the business's requirements, right? They're really not there to process payroll. They're really not there to worry about, did the taxes change? Did the FICA rate change? Did the
Mhm.
federal unemployment tax rate, state unemployment? Those things are not, that's really not what they're meant to do, which is cool with the people because we're such a unique PEO that we have no issues, working. If you did have a third party, let's just say you had a TPA or you had a bookkeeper or a CPA that did process your payroll, we have no problem giving them access to the information that they need, based off of what you tell us to give them access to.
Mhm.
Or some come in and they're like, "Hey, you can get rid of your HR department." Um, we're not like that. We'd rather work with them. And the one thing I didn't talk about when I was telling all the PEO, it's a cost saving as
Mhm.
well too. It's like buying in bulk, going to BJ's, going to Costco's. You run down to Stewart's, right? Since we're local, we can do that. If I go to Sam's Club, BJ's, or whatever, and I buy paper towels, I buy a big package of paper towels. I probably can get those for maybe 50 cents a roll. Let's just say you have to run down to Stewart's in a pinch. That's going to cost me $3 to $4 for that one roll, right? So that's the buying power that we have, and that's why we're able to do that cost saving. Is because we take our whole, body of, what we call worksite employees, and we use that to benefit our clients. Because we say, hey, we're doing X amount in premium with you. We need better rates on these codes.
Yeah,
Um,
and that was something I was going to ask you about, right? Is that one of the benefits to the PEO is that you're able, as a business owner, I'm able to get a discount because of the number of people that you guys have in, how to phrase that, right? Like you're basically packaging all your clients' employees into one pool, right? Is that a way to say that?
Perfect way to say it. Yeah, and one pool. So when we have a bigger negotiating power now,
Yeah.
right? I'm going in. We have 80,000 worksite employees across the country. So when we go into our carriers and our vendors that we use, hey, we have this. We look real big to them. So
Yeah.
if you want to keep us, we need better rates from you because our clients are demanding it. So it's a perfect. I equate it to like GE, right? Like GE, when GE was humming, right? Back in the 60s and 70s, right? They
Mhm.
were a huge, had thousand some odd employees. They're certainly getting not only better rates, but better service from whoever vendors they're using, than a general store. So I grew up, Eno's General Store was my go-to, right? So like
Yep.
they're getting better rates because Eno's had two employees, maybe three. Shout out to South Corinth there.
Yeah.
Uh, It's the same. It's the same concept, but this is out on a nationwide. So again, if you needed to move, you landed a job, let's just say in Vermont or Connecticut or Pennsylvania. You don't have to give us a call and be like, "Hey, I need to get this endorsement on my workers' comp policy." It's already on
Mhm.
there because it is a nationwide policy. So you just worry again. One less thing for them to do or their admin to do. Just go and land a job and work. Just let us know, hey, these guys are going to be in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Okay, right?
Yeah, so that's a huge advantage to contractors, especially like you said, right, that are working in multiple states and not having to navigate the bureaucratic nightmare that I imagine it must be in order to make sure that your employees are properly covered.
You don't have to register in that state because we're already a registered employer. Because what
Yep.
you do is co-employment model. So you come underneath our FEIF, for the purposes of those big, the big business benefits. Yeah, Peoplease is employer of record, but all of our clients maintain control and direction of their company,
Yeah.
which just makes life a little bit easier for them, allows them to expand their footprint a little bit. And it's likewise with we do partner with a lot of like partners, either insurance brokers or CPAs and or bookkeepers. I know I've talked about them a lot. We partner with them too. If they don't necessarily have a license, let's just say they have a friend who just moved out to Missouri. He or she wants to start a new business. They don't have a license out there, but we're not an insurance company, we're PEO. So they can still bring that to Peoplease, and we'll be able to put a price on it, and they'd still get paid commissions on it, on the referral side. So it's pretty cool what we do.
Yeah. Uh, and I know one of the things you and I have talked about in our conversations is kind of the misnomer that people are like, wow, those they're not actually my employees if I'm using a PEO, right? I feel like we should probably speak to that in case one of our listeners is saying that very thing.
Yeah, that's the old way of PEO. So it used to be called employee leasing. So basically, that's how it worked. The employer would give their employees to the PEO all the time, and they'd lease them back to that employer. So they lost all that control because their only thing they're showing on W-2s is that the PEO is their employer of record, and that's it. So it was more difficult to get out of those arrangements. But there was a lot of lawsuits back then. I'm talking like
Yeah, I
the
bet.
80s and early 90s, and a lot of the PEOs who weren't doing that just shifted to me saying, and the ones who were just shifted to a co-employment. Hey, we
Mhm.
can still operate both ways. I mean, there's a lot that went on behind the scenes as far as like laws that that our associations would fight for to make sure that we could do it that way. But yeah, no, they're your employees. They will always be your employees. It's even in our agreement, right? There's no solicitation of either side. You can't solicit me to come work for you if you're a client of mine, and I can't solicit your people to come work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty I don't know, a pretty wild thing to think about that whole process and how that used to go. Um, so with a question that came up in my brain, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
stumbling a little bit on my words here. A question that came up in my brain when you were talking was, from a PEO standpoint, are you involved in the hiring and firing side of things if your client wants to, or do you stay away from that? How does that work?
No, we stay away from it, but what we can do is we can give you best practices. Right? Hey, these are the things that have worked because we work with so many of the same industries. We can help with job postings. Be like, hey, listen, these guys just had to hire on 20 people. This is what their job listings look like. Not only that, is if you come onto us, you still have, even if you don't take any of our benefits, like our medical benefits or anything, your employees would still have access to our ancillary benefits. So if they wanted to go get a 401k, vision, dental, all the, gap coverage, all that, they can still have access to it. So now you can add that to your job post as well too. You have access to pet insurance, blah blah blah. All these smaller things that do impact people. So it just allows your talent pool to grow because people who are looking for specific things can get them just by the employer partnering with us, and they don't have to fund towards it.
Yeah.
So it makes it more interesting.
And what about, obviously as a PEO, you're covering a lot of stuff, but that's not the only thing that you guys do, right? Like Peoplease does quite a few things. Can you kind of expand or unpack that a little bit as far as the different kinds of ways that you help blue and gray collar businesses?
Yeah, it's specific to the blue and gray and well, any industry too. Is like workers' comp is our work comp is our driver, right? So every one of our client has a risk mitigation team member part of it. So some of the statistics on that side are that we are closing claims 70% faster than the open market, and we're closing at 30 to 35% less than the open market. Not only that, we have a return to work program. So as you can imagine, a lot of the blue and gray collar businesses that we work with, they don't have a light duty, but we do. And you can utilize ours. We typically will put them in with a nonprofit, and they'll check somebody out at a cash register, whether Goodwill, Salvation Army, things of that nature. So it helps keep that cost of the claim lower, because whatever that nonprofit is paying that person to work there on that light duty, the insurance company, essentially the business owner, is only responsible for that difference. So we can help keep driving their mod down by having lower claims. And the one thing it's very important in the insurance industry, and then talk to any insurance professional, is that a closed claim is a known amount, and a claim that is still open, it's an unknown, and that puts trepidation in some actuaries, right? Because we never know what's that final number going to be. So if we're closing these out, you already know, and we can give you indications. Hey, your mod might go up. And speaking of workers' comp mods, there's a lot of contracts that are out there, whether it be state, local, or private contracts that require a certain workers' comp modification. It's typically 1.0 or less. Let's just say you have one shock loss. One day it's a windy day, you guys are up on a ladder, whatever the case may be, you fall off, get hurt, and your mod goes up over one. Now you lose that contract. But if you partner with Peoplease, you inherit our workers' comp mod, which is well below one, and you can continue to keep that contract.
That's interesting. I didn't know that that's how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of like, the more we'll say challenging things when it comes to workers' comp, as I'm just wondering, I have a lot of contacts with contractors in different areas of the trades, and roofing is one of those things, right, where I hear like getting workers' comp, or if for the contractors that are doing certain kinds of work, they have to make sure that they're not getting on a roof because their workers' comp won't cover it. I mean, are you guys able to cover pretty much all of those industries? Like, do you have any kind of limitations on what you can get coverage for?
We do on the roofing. Just because you brought up roofing, we do on residential. We
Okay.
can't go over 2 stories, but commercial, we're 100% up behind it. If there's like an 85-15 split, 85 commercial, 15 residential, it's that pitch roof versus the flat roof. When
Okay.
it comes to that, there's some others industries that we won't like. So if there's any sort of like mold remediation, even though we're a preferred vendor for ServPro, but ServPro, majority of them, they sub that out to somebody else, like mold remediation or asbestos removal, those types of things. And if
Hmm.
we can't do any of like the government entities, like can't do firemen, we can't do cops, those may and paramedics. But we could do like agency. I mean, we could do like a school. I mean, I say government. I just meant like those personnel up there. And we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
opened up armed guards. So before armed security guards, before we weren't able to do them. Now we can do it. That was as of the end of January. We're now able to go in that. There's some stipulations to it. They just have to have training. They have to be in business for at least 2 years. I want to say training. I meant like firearms training, whoever's
Yep.
carrying those types of things. We're you're not, those are some standard markets do those, but a majority of the time you gotta go outside of that, whether it's a safety group or the state fund to get coverage there. But then you run into that issue if there is a claim, right? Because
Yeah.
those groups, especially the state fund, they're inundated with claims, so they have a tough time getting them closed out just because of the mere volume of them. It's not
Yeah.
anything you're doing; it's just the volume. Because if you're in the state fund as a business, you've had some pretty significant losses. That's why you're there for the most part, and you're paying for it to be there. Whereas you can come to us and we can make sure these are closed.
Interesting. Now, what about things like, so workers' comp is, a big driver for you guys. Do you get into the payroll services? Do you do that for your clients? That's all part of it, or?
Yeah. The only two requirements for us are workers' comp and payroll, and we do take care of the payroll. We file all the federal, local, and state taxes for all of our clients, and we just handle that on our end.
Hmm.
Same thing on the compliance side. So all your OSHA posters, your labor posters that you need, you get them from us. We do employee handbook reviews and rewrites if need be. Um, we have a whole library of different types of trainings, not only just related to the HR part. So obviously in New York State, you have to have your sexual harassment training every year. We
Yeah.
have those, but also on the safety side as well too. We have a bunch of different training programs, especially if you're getting into something newer. Let's just trying to think. I don't know. Trying to think of you know something of that nature. Let's just say you're a logistics company, right? But you've never done warehousing before. You've moved boxes, but all of a sudden picked up you picked up a larger contract, and uh, they want you to move stuff from the West Coast to the East Coast, but you want to house it in between because you want to have your warehouse stocked with it stuff so you can just pull it real quick. We have all that kind of information of different safety policies that you would need to look out for as a warehouse manager or warehouse owner. So
Hmm.
there's just tons of different information. I mean, I know I keep going back to workers' comp. I think you guys are getting the theme here that we're here, but we have like real time claims information as well too. If you do have a claim, so at any point you could call us and be like, "Hey, your claims analyst actually," and be like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" We're the patient advocate, so if an employee is hurt, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're following up with that employee, that they're going to their physical therapy, occupational therapy, whatever they're supposed to be doing, making sure they're going to a doctor's appointment. So again, another alleviation of a task that somebody within that company would have to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like you're removing a lot of weight off the shoulders of some business owners there or some HR departments.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely on each front. So those are the main the main features. It really is a heavy lift. There's so much that we do that's behind the scenes that you're not going to know too. That it's just it's kind of incredible, and especially at the cost point, right?
Hmm.
Of where to be if I were to hire somebody for my company to do that versus me doing it, or it's outsourcing it. The cost is so much lower
Yeah.
uh, than expected.
Well, and like, I always, when talking to people about outsourcing specifically for marketing, is the conversation I have a lot. But I have to assume it's the same for you guys. Like when you outsource a solution, like you don't have to worry about your HR department being sick that day, being on vacation that week, if something happens, right? Like you always have someone on call that is going to answer the phone. And I mean, I assume normal business hours are probably a part of that, but um, it's you don't have to worry about some of those things that come along with having an in-house employee. Uh, and that's a
Right.
real benefit to business owners. I mean, you never
Yeah.
know when things are going to happen.
Exactly. Any FMLA or any of that, we got it. We're here for you, and we manage all that for you. Yeah, another asset that we could take. We get a employee leave for let's just say they're having a kid, maternity leave and paternity leave. If you want it, and we manage that for you. That way you just keep going, keep pushing through.
Keep focusing on your work, growing your business, not getting bogged down in those details, right?
Exactly. Grow it, drive your vision and mission, and just keep moving forward and let us handle the heavy lifting in the back end.
Love it. Nick, if people want to learn more about Peoplease, maybe they're interested in talking to you about moving their services over to you, where do they find you? How do they get hold of you?
Yeah, so for Peoplease in general, if you just look for more information, it's peoplease.com. If you're looking to reach out to me directly, you can email me. It's Nick or N Schkrioba at peoplease.com. So you'd have to get that
We'll make
written
sure
out.
we put that in the show notes.
Yeah. And then I'm always available on my cell too. Leave me a message if you haven't called me before. I don't have you saved in. It's 941-224-8981. I'm literally here to help. I'm a consultant first, and then I just want to make sure you know everything is good with you before we would move forward on anything.
Yeah,
And any
absolutely.
questions, I'm here. That's the whole point. And I want to just give back to my community that raised me, right? And
Yeah,
that's why
man.
I came back home.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Nick, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. We got to get together for coffee soon. I keep saying that to guests I haven't seen in a while. I'm like, we got to get together in real life, man. Uh, But appreciate you coming on and spending a little bit of time with us. And, of course, appreciate everybody for listening. You can find us at buyinglocal.us. All of our episodes are there. You can also search through Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts to find the audio versions or the video versions, depending on the platform. Appreciate everybody for listening, and you'll hear from us next week.